Welcome to Tzu Chi This week. I'm Terry Poots. Good to have you with us. Coming up in this week's top stories, Sri Lanka Tzu Chi volunteers conduct a disaster survey following torrential rains in early June. In Lesotho, Tzu Chi volunteers traveled to Mato Khan to carry out a volunteer training seminar to recruit more people to join Tzu Chi. In China, students in Sichuan and Guizhou use their own ways to help the impoverished people through donations and recycling. First up, we go to Sri Lanka, where torrential rains recently struck the country, with the central and western regions being inundated with flooding and mudslides, leaving 100,000 people affected and 23 dead. Tzu Chi volunteers recently traveled to the hard-hit areas to conduct disaster surveys to see how they can help.
Residents flee their home after a mudslide destroys their village. A mother mourns the death of her child who was buried underneath the fallen debris. The view from the helicopter is water as far as the eye can see. Following days of heavy rain, Sri Lanka's western and central regions were left extensively flooded. The worst hit being the western districts, including Colombo, Gampaha, and Kalutara. With bridges and roads closed, many residents have been left stranded. As Tzu Chi volunteers drive south from Colombo to Kalutara, all they see is devastation. Suddenly, a heavy rain comes again, turning roads into streams, making travel almost impossible. Volunteers first meet with local officials of the Kalutara Divisional Secretariat. They meet with an NGO representative for updated information on the disaster zones. Shortly after, volunteers head into the worst-hit areas of Matugama. In their initial survey, volunteers find 25 Tamil families taking refuge at a local community center with enough food and water for the short term. After a complete survey, volunteers will return to whole food and aid distributions.
In Bohol Island, the Philippines, today we meet Dennis Du, the island's first local volunteer, who helped escort Manila Tzu Chi volunteers to survey the disaster areas after the earthquake last year. Inspired by Tzu Chi's compassion, Dennis Du has decided to join Tzu Chi's ranks and spread Tzu Chi's message across the island. This is Dennis Du, a travel agency manager who escorted Tzu Chi volunteers to survey disaster areas after the earthquake in Bohol Island last year. Since then, he has become a local volunteer.
This is my own opinion na nung after the earthquake, parang mahina yung response ng government. And we are, so of course, the people are so worried about who's going to help them. And we're so blessed and we're so happy that Tzu Chi Foundation was here.
Moved by the volunteers' kindness, Dennis Du became the first volunteer working on Tzu Chi's behalf in Bohol. Though he has not yet participated in any volunteer training, he seizes every opportunity to do and learn.
When we set foot in a new place, we need the locals to escort us around the area. From these locals, we will select some training volunteers and start recruiting more local volunteers or local Chinese to join us.
Thanks to Dennis Du, Manila Tzu Chi volunteers were able to carry out their mission without troubles. Besides doing volunteer work, Du also shares what he's been doing in Tzu Chi with his friends.
I am glad to hear he became a Tzu Chi volunteer because this way I can learn more about the NGO. He often shares Tzu Chi's things with us, so I know that the NGO has done a lot for Bohol residents.
We are so glad that a kind of organization like yours could help these people who were victims of the earthquake and the typhoon Yolanda. We hope more organizations could come here to help us.
At the island's first volunteer training seminar, Dennis Du joined his fellow volunteers to learn how to continue to spread the seeds of love in his beloved home. In Lesotho, Tzu Chi volunteers recently visited Matuken to hold a volunteer training seminar. As there was no indoor venue available, the training was conducted entirely outdoors. Here's more.
In the kingdom of Lesotho, one can indeed find a prospect greater than the sky, and that is the kind-heartedness of the local people. As an indoor venue was not available, volunteers make do with what they have. With the sky as their roof and the grass as the floor, volunteers conducted their training seminar outdoors here in Matuken. The volunteers' enthusiastic singing attracted many nearby residents to join the seminar, and the 60 Jingsi aphorism booklets volunteers initially prepared soon ran out.
This is what we call connecting villages.
Word quickly spread through the villages as a total of 173 residents from 10 villages came to attend the training seminar. Many local residents have also begun to conduct home visitations in their own villages, paying for the basic necessities and food supplies of the poor out of their own pockets.
This is made from dry cornstalk. These are all handicrafts made by our volunteers.
So what is this? Is body lotion. Body lotion.
To be able to give is a blessing. Volunteers hope to inspire more compassionate hearts to fill this land with endless hope and love.
In Malaysia, since 2008, the Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter has partnered with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to run schools for refugee children. On May 28th, one of the refugee schools arranged for a field trip to the Royal Malaysian Air Force Museum for its students. Today, teachers and children of a refugee school run by the Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter and UNHCR are going on a field trip to the Royal Malaysian Air Force Museum.
The purpose of today's field trip is to get these children to understand the importance of national defense, since national instability is the main culprit behind their current situation.
Refugees in Malaysia do not enjoy the same rights as citizens. Therefore, these children were more than excited about today's outing.
Many students were too excited to sleep last night, and they packed all their stuff way beforehand.
Over the course of the day, students all seize this rare opportunity to learn as much as they can.
Here they can learn science and to recognize different types of aircraft. Many of our students are interested in aircrafts and want to learn more. I think this field trip has been very beneficial for them.
At the end of the day, the children come away with a new perspective on life and a better understanding not found in books. In China, Tzu Chi volunteers visited 2 schools in Ya'an, Sichuan to award scholarships. Their 92 scholarship recipients donated their savings to help the needy. Meanwhile, students in Guizhou have started a recycling campaign to collect PET bottles, with the proceeds from the sale of recyclables being used to help needy students.
The amount of plastic bottles collected is astonishing. These come from nowhere else but the students themselves. At Lordian No. 1 Senior High School in Guizhou, of the 3,000 students, half live in the school dormitories, while others live in rental homes outside of the school. As they do not have access to proper drinking water, students mostly drink bottled water, which has resulted in a large volume of trash. However, that is about to change. Going class to class to collect PET bottles, students also seize the opportunity to educate their classmates on recycling.
产品就含家电脑那一类的，这些都可以回收。你今后一定要注意环保啊！是的。所以让我们的学校更美好，所以人人的环保一中会变得更美好，对不对？对不对？
This recycling campaign was started by current Student Council Chairman Mao Guodong.
When I see plastic bottles lying around or being discarded carelessly on campus, I get an urge to do something about it. I feel if we don't do anything, our campus will be dirty.
After Tzu Chi volunteers began advocating recycling on campus last year, Mao became inspired to help. Together, Mao and 6 other classmates began to collect recyclables, and within one semester, accumulated $304 from the sale of recyclables, which they used to help 11 impoverished students.
Because the proceeds from the plastic bottles is not a lot, we decided to help those students in greater need first.
Mao's initiative, which originally began with only 6 people, has now extended to 108 students who practice recycling on campus once a week. Not only are they keeping their school grounds clean, their hearts and minds are also cleansed in the process. As students open up their coin banks, over 6 months of daily savings are poured into the sea of love.
Before, I would spend the money my mom gave me on food, but now I will save a small portion for my bamboo coin bank to help others.
Today, Tzu Chi volunteers are here at Tianjin Tzu Chi Elementary School. Never did they imagine that the bamboo coin banks they gave to students 6 months ago would now be filled with their love.
I use my leftover lunch money to help the needy. I buy clothes and food for them.
Regardless of the amount, it is the thought that counts. Tzu Chi scholarship recipient Huang Rui from Mingshan Senior High School says she hopes this accumulation of kindness will turn into an ocean of love.
I fold the notes into the shape of small boats before putting them in my coin bank. I hope the boats can travel to where help is most needed.
Reciprocating the kindness they have received by helping others, even in times of hardship, these scholarship recipients are extending the cycle of love.
To mark the Marathon Recycling Day in the United Kingdom, Tzu Chis in London, Liverpool, and Manchester clean up the environment around them. Meanwhile, during Tzu Chi Week at the National Penghu University of Science and Technology in Taiwan, Tzu Chis got some hands-on learning at the recycling station. But first, we join Sun Yongkun, a dialysis patient in Malaysia, who is doing his part in sorting recyclables despite his disability.
Getting out of the car with difficulty is 54-year-old dialysis patient Sun Yongkun, whose legs were amputated due to a bacterial infection. Despite his disability, he looks forward to his monthly trip to the recycling station to fulfill his environmental mission.
When I sort recyclables at the recycling station, time passes by a lot quicker. When I'm at home, I just watch TV and not much more. It's very dull.
Knowing the money earned from selling recyclables helps to subsidize medical fees for dialysis patients, Sun does his share to help.
After we separate them, the selling price is much higher. The money earned can help others who need dialysis, but can't afford it. This is good because everyone can contribute in their own way.
It was Tzu Chi volunteer Huang Sulin that encouraged Sun to get out of his house and participate.
The money earned from selling recyclables assists our dialysis patients, so I had hoped, since he's a dialysis patient as well, this will strike a chord with him and open up his heart.
Although Sun has difficulty getting around, with a heart determined to do good, nothing can stand in his way. Meanwhile, also visiting a recycling station are Taiwan's Tzu Chis from the National Penghu University of Science and Technology. At 2 p.m., the day is hot, but these university students do not forget their appointment to protect the planet's resources.
哎呦，都生锈了。电池不回收会怎样？会土壤污染。
Students are careful to separate their recyclables into different categories. Prior to the event, Tzu Chi This posted an invite for her internet friends to join her. Today, she herself has gained a new perspective.
We cleared out about 2 or 3 bags of beverage cups. However many drinks you buy a month is how many cups you're using up.
The top is aluminum foil and this part is styrofoam, so it needs to be separated.
It's not enough to just help sort recyclables. First-time participant Zhen Qingyang is determined to set an example by using reusable cups to reduce waste.
I will try to use reusable cups, but if I use disposable ones, I will at least clean them out so that volunteers have an easier time sorting them.
Besides helping to sort recyclables, NPU's Tzu Chi also held a banquet with 18 delicious vegetarian dishes.
很多东西耶。有什么？有，都是素的，我也不知道。真的吗？有看过这些的食物吗？没有。棒不棒？非常棒。超棒哈。
Unlike previous years, this year everyone was asked to bring their own utensils.
推广环保。
We're spreading vegetarianism while promoting environmental ideals, so we asked everyone to bring their own utensils and bowls to use.
食物跟汤这样子。
At NPU's Tzu Chi Week, young students are helping to make a difference in the world. Moving to the United Kingdom, on a recent sunny weekend, Tzu Chis in London were busy beautifying a park. Fighting over who gets to pick up the bottle, these Tzu Chis joined Tzu Chis in 12 other countries in taking part in the worldwide Marathon Recycling Day.
It's not only us that are participating in the cleanup. Liverpool and Manchester are participating too. I think it's wonderful that everyone is taking part in different areas, but doing the same thing, as it brings us closer together. I feel blessed.
There's no division of race or age when it comes to protecting Mother Earth. And even passers-by like little Gracie were eager to help.
We encountered many little children who were curious about what we were doing. Of course, we explained what we were doing and invited them to help clean up the park with us.
For those skeptics, Tzu Chi take time to thoroughly explain the event and their mission.
It's nice of you to come to this country or live in this country as people from another country to help this country and deal with this rubbish problem, basically.
I felt like this cleaning up was in a way clearing away our impurities. We can be cleansed and return to our pure nature.
Marathon Recycling Day is no longer just a model for these Tzu Chis, as they and others like them strive to keep the planet clean for the next generation.
In Los Angeles, the United States, Tzu Chi Grade Love Preschool in Monrovia helped its students learn about Dragon Ball Festival through a mini Dragon Ball race. While in London, volunteers wrapped vegetarian sticky rice dumplings or 粽子 to raise money for charity.
Donning on an apron and strapping on a headband, London's Tzu Chi volunteers get ready for their annual sticky rice dumpling festival. It is customary for Chinese people to eat sticky rice dumpling or 粽子 during Duanwu festival. However, it is not a simple feat when living abroad. To help, London volunteers make the traditional treat to raise money for charity, while also promoting vegetarianism.
When I was young, I used to see my mom wrap this. At the time, I didn't know how hard the work is. After I wrapped some on my own this time, I realized how hard it was for my mom to make 粽子 for us.
As I wrapped 粽子, it felt as if I was back home, so I feel really happy.
Borrowing the experience of their U.S. counterparts, the London volunteers make sure to weigh the ingredients to help the 粽子 turn out uniformly.
Though I didn't know how to wrap 粽子, the sisters were kind enough to teach me. As I learned, I realized by staying focused made the 粽子 look more appealing, which can help Tzu Chi raise more money.
We made sure the ingredients were properly weighted, which made sure we nailed the proportion and weight of the 粽子.
Over in Los Angeles, students of Tzu Chi Great Love Preschool in Monrovia may be born and raised in the U.S., but they still enjoy celebrating Dragon Boat Festival. In the two younger classes, teachers lead students in decorating their carts into make-believe dragon boats. Later, the students break into groups to race their boats. Through fun and games, these young children learn more about the Chinese culture and enjoy a happy Duanwu festival.
Staying in the United States, Tzu Chi Academy in Los Angeles recently held a graduation ceremony for the class of 2014, and the principal of the school seized the chance to encourage more parents to join volunteers' ranks.
Under the guidance of a Tzu Chi Academy alumnus, the graduating class of 2014 walks into the assembly hall.
I am very happy.
I only have 2 words to express my gratitude. Thank you.
This year is a meaningful year for the Tzu Chi Los Angeles Academy.
The first Tzu Chi Academy was established where? Here.
20 years ago, the first overseas Tzu Chi Academy was established in Los Angeles.
I was here when the school was established in 1994. I came to the school with my children.
I think I was the first pregnant volunteer helping out at the school in 1994.
Both of my children graduated from the Tzu Chi Academy. They studied at the school for more than 10 years.
For the past 20 years, these volunteers have cared for countless children. Many parents were even inspired to walk the Tzu Chi path themselves.
Dear parents, we hope to recruit more people to join us. With support from all of you, we will be able to continue for another 20 years.
Meanwhile, at the Tzu Chi Academy in Las Vegas, every student is awarded for their outstanding performance over the past semester.
I did a good job.
We're very grateful for the work that the volunteers put in, because it's obviously not easy, and they give up a lot of their free time to make sure that our kids are learning.
To show their support for the Buddhist NGO, Ever-Growing Bank decided to sponsor the graduation gifts.
Tzu Chi Academy not only teaches Chinese, but also passes on traditions and good moral values to its students.
Currently, there are 23 Tzu Chi Academies across the United States. And in the years to come, school staff and volunteers will continue to pass on Tzu Chi's humanistic values to their students.
We go to the Philippines at the end of our show. Since Typhoon Haiyan, the Tzu Chi Foundation has expanded its affinity with residents in Omak City. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers returned to the region to hold a rice aid distribution for families in need. As the government's household registration information is now in disarray following the typhoon, the volunteers had to go door to door to finalize the distribution list and hand out rice vouchers to up to 10,000 households. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for watching Tzu Chi This Week. Goodbye.